Are you living your life, or are you just settling and just living a version that other people expect of you? Right now, it's time to uncover the truth on this question, and it's time to unveil the secret to having fulfillment. In this video, I'm going to talk about living a truly fulfilling life. And it's essential that you understand what it could be that's holding you back. So I'm going to break down some of the most common things that are holding you back from living out that dream. Because in a battle, you got to know who your enemy is before you can actually plan an attack. So we're going to get to know what these barriers and obstacles are that are in the way, and then we're going to plan an attack before we end this video so you know exactly where you need to go. The most common barriers to people feeling encouraged to dive straight into their passions are self-doubt, where you kind of think and you talk negative things and you pretty much just bring yourself down from any type of excitement to moving forward because you just don't believe in yourself enough to encourage yourself to press forward. Then there's the fear of failure, and that's often based off of an expectation of perfection of yourself. Then there's societal pressures, whether it's social media influencing you or it's societal norms, and you're kind of concerned about, what the society feels you should be doing, and you're just kind of fitting in your role. And then there's concerns about other people and what they think of you. I'm going to start off with self-doubt. This is often rooted in a comparison and past failures that creates this cycle of negative self-talk. You might have experienced something in your past that scared you from wanting to try it again. Like for me, years ago, when I started life coaching, I realized that I was scared to do something that I didn't know that I would win, because I realized as I was kind of going through this hesitation to move forward, I started to think about what it is that's holding me back right now. Like, what am I scared of? And I realized that all of my life, I've had success in sports, in basketball. Even as a kid, I was always a basketball player, and I always had good fortune with basketball. Things worked out. So growing up, I did things related to basketball because that's where my passion was. And I had really no fear of stepping into anything that was challenging in that category, so to speak, because I was comfortable with basketball. But I didn't realize until I was afraid to take action on something that was out of my comfort zone. And so maybe that's the situation you find yourself in, or maybe you're comparing yourself and you're seeing other people succeed in what you desire to do. And so then the doubts start to creep in, where, for example, let's say you want to, I'll just go back to basketball to keep it simple. You want to be a basketball player. You're working on your skills, you're practicing and things like that. But then you watch the NBA. And as you're watching the NBA, you're realizing they're 10 times better than you, 100 times better than whatever. You have a long way to go to get from where you are to where they are. And it can become demotivating. And so sometimes comparing yourself is it's an unfair thing, but it's the thing that you're doing that's actually preventing you from moving forward. When you could be there if you would not do that. You could make it to that level, but you have to put in the work first. The other thing about it is it undermines your confidence. It just keeps you from really stepping out of your comfort zone. And over time, that self-doubt can wear away your self-identity. And it leaves you uncertain about your true potential. But I'm going to help you to overcome this. And first thing you need to do is you need to reframe your inner dialogue. Not only the things that you speak to yourself out loud, or you speak to people when you're talking about maybe opportunities that you have and you're speaking doubt, but also even the things that you think. Because you're thinking, I don't think I could do this. And then sometimes those thoughts come into words, and you tell somebody I don't think I can do it. I don't think I can do it. So what you want to do is you want to replace that self-critical thought with words and affirmations that recognize your strengths. I mean, it's going to take work. It's not just as easy as just starting to speak positive words and all of a sudden your life changes, but it's a start, and that's where you have to begin. Even if the affirmations start off challenging at first, figure out a way to do it anyways. But at the very least, you could at least stop thinking and speaking the negativity that's creeping into your life, and it's creeping into your mind, and it turns into your actions, turns into your reality. If you have these doubts that come up, It's okay to acknowledge what you're doing. Acknowledge, I'm having these doubts. I can feel it coming up inside. But what you don't want to do is respond to it and give it life. What you want to do is call it like it is, but redirect your thoughts with something positive. Because the key is you're actually recognizing this is happening and you're doing something about it. Whereas currently you might be having these negative thoughts and actually agreeing with them and speaking them and then giving them life and then living it out. Second thing you want to do is set small but achievable types of goals. Break your larger aspirations into smaller tasks, and then you can celebrate the milestones. You've probably heard this before, but why have you heard it before? Because it works. People have come to find out it works. Our brains are wired to send signals. They recognize emotions. I said they, like your brain is multiple people. But your brain recognizes emotions and it creates connections to those emotions. And this can be reprogrammed. You can reprogram not only your thinking, but ultimately change your desires, your actions, and your outcomes. So get used to validating that you are winning. And the way you do that is you set goals that you can achieve. And when you achieve them, you start to appreciate that victory in your life. Wake up grateful in the morning for the wins that you have in life, even if it's just that you made the bed and you didn't get hurt doing it, or you didn't get hurt yesterday. You know, as you get older, you can start to be appreciative that you can move all your arms and your legs and your muscles and things aren't in too bad of shape. But it's the small things you want to win. You want to get used to winning. Spend your day recognizing these wins and it'll grow into bigger goals and bigger achievements and bigger confidence in yourself to where then you'll get to a point where your confidence is unstoppable. The last thing you want to do is seek feedback from somebody you trust. You need to get an external perspective to validate your abilities and to see the blind spots objectively. And I don't mean validate your abilities like if somebody from the outside looking in doesn't tell you that you have ability, then you don't have it. I don't mean validate in that aspect. I mean they can help you with that confidence to confirm that they see these abilities in you as well. Or a lot of times they see things in you that you don't see in yourself, and you need that. So don't allow feedback from somebody that you don't trust or somebody that you don't respect to impact your thoughts. You're going to get unsolicited feedback from people that maybe don't like you or don't want to see you progress. So they might critique you. Those types of things are easily creeping into, our being because it means something, when we hear something about ourselves that we need to correct or that somebody else is critiquing. Even if we don't believe it, it can creep in. So you have to be strong in that area and learn that if I don't trust and respect this person, I don't need their opinion. Now, if somebody that I trust and respect confirms that their opinion is true, then now at least I know what I need to work on. So what you could do is share your dreams and your aspirations with this person that you trust and respect. Ask them for their thoughts on your ability to accomplish these dreams, these goals. A true friend or family, they will know that you can accomplish anything, but they'll be honest enough to tell you if it's going to take a lot of work, if it's going to take a lot of personal or professional development. And if it does, that's fine. But at least you know that now you have a direction to go into. You need these to achieve your dreams and take the steps forward. The next obstacle is fear of failure. This is the type of fear that can paralyze your decision making completely and stop you from taking risks that lead to growth. Failure, a lot of times, is the way that we learn. But you're afraid to fail, and so therefore you don't place value in pushing forward, pushing boundaries, doing something out of your comfort zone, even while you're scared, and then knowing that you're going to learn through the process and you're going to get better, and at the end, you're going to end up mastering something that you desired to learn. And so a lot of times this type of fear comes from perfectionism, which is a belief that your mistakes define your worth. And that's not true, but it's a belief. And that is a strong enough belief that is within you, and it'll keep you from trying to do anything because you're afraid that if you fail, it's attached to you being worthy. It's attached to your reputation. You think that if you make mistakes, it'll make you look bad, which then will make you feel bad about yourself. And therefore you play it safe and you only do the things that you know you can do without making a mistake. Of course, that's not everybody. Of course, that doesn't define with a blanket statement all people who fear failure, but that's just a common obstacle that many people face. But so without failure, what happens is you miss the lessons and you miss the resiliency that failure provides. And those are the essential pieces that you need for fulfillment. And I want to talk about how you can overcome this type of fear. The first thing you want to do is you want to redefine how you define failure. You need to view it as an opportunity to learn to get better, and it's not a final judgment of your worth. So a lot of times we look at failure, and it even sounds like a bad word, right? There's like a stigma when I'm saying the word. It sounds like I'm saying failure a lot. And that's a harsh word in our society. Like, we just do not like failure. We're not comfortable with that word. And it means a lot of different things depending on how you define it. So you yourself can define failure as one thing, and somebody else can define it as like a complete loss. But again, you want to define failure as just an opportunity. It's just a moment that you learned something and you grew from it, and it gave you the tools you needed to overcome it the next time. There was this kid who spent most of his middle school and high school years just really trying to be a part of the student council. That was just like his big dream, was to be on the student council all the way from middle school. And every year he kept on trying and trying again, running for student council and failing, like not getting elected to the student council. And it's like he never quit. It got to the point where his parents would be concerned for him when he would come back to them each time saying he's about to run for it again. Because, as a parent, you don't want to watch your kid, not get the things that they want. You don't want to watch them try and then not succeed. So they're watching this happen over and over. And in the meantime, this young man is growing into a strong adult because he's learning how to deal with these failures. So finally, in his senior year, he finally got the position in student council. And then we fast forward, and as an adult, he continued doing the same thing, having the same approach, where he was applying for a lot of high-level jobs and positions and failing often. He wasn't getting these positions all the time, but he learned to take it in stride. He learned to prep for his next opportunity when a door closed. Matter of fact, he was probably prepping for 2 or 3 opportunities at the same time because he knew he was aiming so high that there was a possibility that wasn't going to work, but then something else came up. And the thing about failing is that you learn that while you're aiming for this star in the sky, you're learning so much along the way. Let's just give, for an example, you're building an a resume, because this job requires a resume and it requires it to be very sharp and perfect. So you work on perfecting a resume for this job. You apply, you don't get it. Well, you learned how to perfect a resume, or at least how to make it much better than you've ever made one before, because you had to reach such a high standard to even apply for this opportunity. So when you don't get the job, you actually could walk away saying, man, it's like, if I apply for another job, I'm about to give them the best resume they've ever seen, because I've grown from level 1 to level 9 just working on this process to get this job. And that's just one example. So this man who grew up with this resiliency and this effort to become on student council, he ended up just a happy, kind of like living happily ever after. Like he's now highly successful. He's got a family. He's living his dream. And he has this, he spent his life developing this resiliency and never quitting. And that was really the reason that he got to where he's at. And for us, we don't always grow up organically having this built within us. But we have to recognize whether we do or not. And then if we don't, we have to take the steps to add that to who we are. So you take calculated risks. You could start off with low stakes situations and just build confidence, just facing small challenges. You could do something that you're not comfortable with, but even keeping it into like a private, area, so that if you fail, you have a very small audience. You're not like failing on the world stage, and if you want to, like, say, for example, you want to get on camera, you want to do marketing, you want to do videos, commercials, whatever it is, but it's that public, putting yourself on video and posting it is a tough challenge for you. You know what? Do it anyways. Post something short, something small, send it to your family, send it to your friends, or even just put it out there on the web. Because, like, shoot, I mean, how many people in the world know you anyway? So you post it, and you get to experience how it's not as bad as you probably thought it would be. I know it's difficult to listen to yourself on videos. It's difficult to watch yourself on videos. But when you actually try, you'll realize that, guess what? The whole world did not come back to your front door, knock on the door, and just point their finger in your face and laugh at you because they saw you on video. It don't happen like that. You go out there, you do whatever you got to do. And honestly, I don't think that many people are paying attention anyways. So you got to just be willing to take that risk. Volunteer at your job and do something that you normally wouldn't do. And let them know, like, I'm trying to expand my comfort zone. You'll learn that you can do way more than you even probably give yourself credit for. And if you don't crush it your first time out, you're going to learn that the world doesn't end when you don't do something perfect. And your reputation doesn't tarnish when you struggle with something. So don't go into it setting an expectation that you are perfect. Set the expectation that you are pushing your boundaries, you're trying something new, and you're not maybe as polished. Like, you're going to be as excellent as you can possibly be. And that's what you should be. But if you're not as polished as an expert would be, you got to be okay with that. It takes time to get to the level of an expert, but it takes stumbling. It takes making mistakes. It takes being an amateur first. And you have to be okay with being an amateur and working your way, because you will make it to that next level if you're willing to put in the time and you're willing to humble yourself and not try to be perfect, so to speak. So again, it's not expected that you're an expert. It's only expected that you're willing to put yourself out there and learn new skills. And just on a side note, you might want to check your arrogance. You might want to check in case you're self-centered, because sometimes that's where the connection is at. You're a perfectionist because you think you're perfect, or because you want other people to think you're perfect. So humility plays a big part in that, because if you didn't think you were perfect, and if you didn't want other people to think you were perfect, you would be okay with making mistakes. The last thing that you can do is reflect on your past success. Remember times when you overcame a hard time, a setback. Remind yourself of your ability to persevere, because we've all persevered in our lives. We struggle to give ourselves the credit for how strong we've been at times in our lives. We have to give credit to other people because we don't do things on our own. We don't make it past our struggles all by ourselves. We're not the main reason why we are where we are at today. I say that because I want to make sure, yes, we give credit where credit's due, but the piece that sometimes we're missing is giving credit to ourselves, is acknowledging that, you know what, I was strong. A lot of people helped me along the way. People, helped carry me along the way to get where I'm at. But if I was just dead weight and I didn't have anything to add to it, they wouldn't have gotten me. They wouldn't have been able to help me to get to where I'm at. I played a part in it. And so you have to recognize your strengths. You recognize your strengths and your weaknesses. But bottom line is, you got to know yourself. And you have to understand you do have strengths, and you can capitalize on those strengths. The last common barrier is societal pressures. A lot of times societal norms will dictate what success should look like. And then that traps you into a role. And that role is sometimes not aligned with who you are. And then you can go through your whole life filling a role that is not you, to the point that you don't even know who you are. And you just become the role. And you just play it out until you run across a video like this, or across a person like this who will explain this to you. that, hey, you are somebody that's unique and valuable with your own talents, gifts, and you're special in your own way that could be valuable to a lot of other people, but you just haven't realized it. We're all unique and different and talented in our own ways. Society cannot tell you what success looks like for you. That's your call. Social media is one way that we compare ourselves a lot of times. We get overloaded with information, with examples, with pictures, with experiences that other people have. And there's a lot of good and bad out there. There's a lot of misinformation out there. People look at social media and they start to feel inadequate because they're comparing themselves to other people. When little do you know, if you were the face online on a regular basis, you would have your own audience that thinks you're the lucky one, that they want to be like. Is that hard to imagine? Because it's the truth. If you overemphasize on external validation, it can distract you from discovering your own intrinsic values and passions. In other words, on the inside, you might be very proud of something you accomplished. For example, let's just say you just washed your car and it looks perfect and you feel so good. But then you looked online and somebody has a bigger and better and faster car and they just waxed it and detailed it and it's shiny and it looks amazing. And then your pride that you just had a moment ago about how good you did with your car fades away and your focus goes to them and the fact that you don't have what they have. And then you're thinking that if you were to post your car or you were to be on the video that you just saw, nobody would care because look at your car and look at his or hers. That's where you do not compare yourself with somebody else. The things that you already have intrinsic value, in other words, you're already proud of it on the inside, it makes you feel good, that's good. Don't let something external take that away. So here's how you overcome societal pressures. You need to clarify your values. What do you value in life? Write down your top values and prioritize your decisions that align with them. Try to keep this list in front of you as often as you can. So you start to recognize that, yes, I truly value these things deep down. You'll see more and more validation as you go through your life and you're thinking back to that list of what you said you value. You'll see by your decisions, the natural decisions you make, you'll see if they line up with your values. And then you can start to make these adjustments based off of what you actually value. You know, this can change. You can change over time. Just make sure that your decisions are always in line with these values. For example, let's say you value your family, but then if that's the case, you wouldn't put them on the back burner for things that are lower in your priorities, like buying a new car to keep up with the person that you saw in the video, knowing that your household budget can't support it. So if your family disagrees with it and your household budget can't afford it, but you saw this video and you want to feel better about yourself, so you compare with that and you go out and you do this thing anyways, now you have kind of established where your priorities lie. And so you need to change your value sheet and you need to change how they're prioritized because your family is not number one. Something else is above it. The other thing you want to do is limit social media use. If you're struggling with this challenge, then you need to stay off of the thing that is causing you the struggle. Take breaks on purpose to reduce that exposure to the things that you're comparing yourself to. And surround yourself with like-minded people. Be around people that encourage and support your authentic self. You shouldn't have to be out to front for anyone, especially not your inner circle. You should be comfortable with who you are. You shouldn't be worrying about what they think if you're being silly sometimes or if you have a deep discussion sometimes. You shouldn't have to worry about what people are thinking about you. Just understand that it is common for people to be dealing with these barriers. You're not the only one by far. If you think you are, check social media groups. You might find a lot of support systems out there or information out there about how people are dealing with this. But the good news is this, you can overcome it. When I learned of my own fears, luckily I shared my situation at that moment with my sister. And she believed in me more than I did. And she challenged me by giving me 3 days to post my first offer to a large group to provide coaching for free, which is what I wanted to do, but I was scared to. So it took me a couple days out of those 3. But for whatever reason, that simple challenge became my motivation. And once I did it, the barrier, at least one barrier, was broken right that moment. Then I received a client, and then I began coaching, and multiple barriers became broken down after that. And I've taken more and more challenges on from that point, and I'm continuing to grow stronger every day and being my best self and offering my best value without fear. You're going to have your own path, but it begins with recognizing whether you have self-doubt, fear of failure, social pressure, and if these things are keeping you from taking your steps forward and to moving towards your dreams. So what I would like for you to do is, in the comments, share what you believe is holding you back. That's just one step towards overcoming it, because if you feel uncomfortable with leaving a public comment, you can do it anyways. And guess what? It's likely that nobody who sees your comment knows you. So you're really doing this for yourself as like a small step forward. And of course, you're helping other people to see that they're not the only ones. I'll leave a link below with a worksheet that you can use to facilitate your mindset change from negative and fear-based thinking to positive and opportunity-based thinking. And I hope that helps you grow and develop in this area so you can live a fulfilling life. Take care.